with the upcoming release of Lightfall, our mods are about to be changed forever. With that knowledge, a lot of our current builds in the game aren't going to perform the way they are right now. So I wanted to start a series leading up to Lightfall where I make a build with every single class and subclass that we currently have in the game. These builds are not going to take advantage of any combat style mods and heavily focus on fragments, exotics, and aspects. Normally, if you use these builds with mods equipped, it is just the cherry on top. And of course, before you start doing anything in Lightfall, you can obviously take a look at the new mod system and try to insert what you think might work. This is just supposed to be a clean slate and give you all an idea of what is some of the strongest stuff in the game right now for each of the classes. If anything changes in the future, I will make an updated video talking about what I think could be better. And like I said, if you're interested in every single class and subclass, be sure to check out the channel and give the series a watch. And at this one, I want to go over the Stasis Titan, which has a very aggressive and defensive type of build. So Stasis Titan is probably one of the least played subclasses when you have things like Void, Solar, and Arc running the show, but this still does have some great combinations and some fun things you can do with it. Its super is a little to be lacking, but you can use it more for defensive capabilities if you just need to put shards up everywhere so you can't really take damage. But it is also good in some situations where you can put a bunch of crystals on a target and you can kind of just insta-kill whatever you're shattering. Overall, this is weaker than some of the other subclasses on the Titan, so I had to put a lot of work into it since we're not taking advantage of combat style mods. All right, before we jump right into it, I do want to say really quick, thank you all so much for 30,000 subscribers. It is honestly crazy. I didn't think we were going to hit it before the Lightfall dropped, but for some reason, views just started coming in like crazy, and I seriously cannot thank you all so much for the continued support. I would not be able to do this if it wasn't for you all. Thank you every single person out there that has subbed, liked, commented, literally anything you do to support the channel. It really means the world to me, and I am just so excited to see you all in Lightfall. You already know I'm going to have so many builds planned out for Strand, and also updating a bunch of the older builds. We're getting new fragments, new exotics will probably work with some subclasses, and on top of that, even new weapon perks could change the game up with some of these, so be sure to stick around the channel. I really do appreciate all the support, and thank you all so much for 30,000 subscribers. But all right, let's jump into our Stasis subclass, and the first thing we should talk about is the aspects we're going to be running. That is Tectonic Harvest and Diamond Lance. Tectonic Harvest is shattering a stasis crystal creates a stasis shard. This shard grants melee energy when picked up by you or your allies. So with this build, we're going to have a couple different ways to get our grenade and our class ability back. So with Tectonic Harvest, you're going to get your melee back. Now typically this melee isn't the greatest. It's honestly better for just a movement tool if you need to get out of a sticky situation, but it is a nice little thing to have in your back pocket if you ever do need to do anything like that. It's also really good for shattering stasis crystals. Now we're also going to be running Diamond Lance, which says shatter or defeat targets with stasis abilities to create a stasis lance. This stasis lance is going to let you pick it up, throw it, which will freeze a bunch of enemies, or you can slam it, that will also freeze targets in the area around you. Honestly, Diamond Lance might be one of the most slept on things in the game. It just guarantees you an instant freeze, which makes it really easy to follow up on killing enemies. If you get the hang of it, you can kind of chain these around, and it just adds a nice little benefit to your stasis subclass. The main reason we are going to be running it though is the fact that it does have 3 fragment slots, and pairing that with Tectonic Harvest, this has 2, so you have access to 5 slots. Now before we get further into fragments, I'm going to be running a glacier grenade. So this grenade you can throw up, basically creates a wall. This has a lot of different benefits. You can shatter it, or you can even stand behind it to take some damage. If you need to get higher up, you can throw this, get on it. It works as a platform as well. Very good versatile grenade. Now also I'm running Rally Barricade. I'm specifically running this because it does have a lower cooldown than the Towering Barricade. To take advantage of that, I'm going to be running hoarfrost-z. So this has the exotic perk Glacial Fortification. When using the Stasis subclass, your barricade becomes a wall of stasis crystals that slows nearby targets when created. Standing behind the barricade will grant you and your allies increased weapon reload speed, stability, and range. So this is actually going to work as a rally barricade, but what's really cool is that you can kind of make your barricade an offensive tool. This pretty much works the exact same way as a Glacier Grenade, except it is just popped right in front of you and takes advantage of your class ability. It will slow freeze, do everything else that your normal Glacier Grenade would, create stasis shards if you break the crystals, anything like that, and it is a very fun offensive tool alongside defensive if you again just need to throw a wall up to block some damage. Now getting into fragments, I'm running Whisper of Fissure, so this is going to increase the damage and size of the burst of stasis when you destroy a stasis crystal or defeat a frozen target. So this just means now when I blow those stasis crystals up for my grenade or my class ability or frozen targets, they're going to have a larger radius to do more damage. It's really good for ad clear. Now I'm also running Whisper of Refraction, so defeating slowed or frozen targets grants you class ability energy. Since they're freezing people all the time, this is going to let me get my class ability back, which again would just let me freeze people again, which then obviously again plays into Whisper of Refraction, so you can have pretty much infinite class abilities. Now I'm also going to be running Whisper of Shards, so shattering a stasis crystal temporary boosts your grenade recharge rate. Shattering additional stasis crystals increases the duration of this benefit. Since you're going to have stasis shards from your grenade and barricade, this is just going to be a no-brainer to take. You get even more grenade cooldown rate, and since you're already getting really fast class ability cooldown, this will just let that grenade also have really fast cooldowns. Now I'm also running Whisper of Change, so while you're near frozen targets or friendly stasis crystal, you take reduced damage from targets. Again, you can throw your grenade down for protection, you can throw your barricade down for protection. Not only are these just going to create walls so enemies cannot shoot you, but if they do have the ability to shoot you, you will now also take reduced damage, which is very, very nice. And then finally, I'm running Whisper of Rhyme. So collecting a stasis shard grants a small amount of overshield, which falls off after 10 seconds. Collecting additional shards adds to the overshield and refreshes the timer. So if you remember, shattering any form of crystal will create a stasis shard. This will now give you an overshield, again, blocking damage, and then on top of that, taking reduced damage. If you do tend to shatter one crystal, you will now also get an overshield, which again helps out with damage reduction of this build and just the overall survivability. Now for stat distribution, I would highly recommend 100 resilience. It's getting nerfed to 30%, but it is still going to be very good, and having high resilience on your Titan means your barricade cools down faster. Now I'm also running 100 discipline because I want to get my glacier grenade up as much as my class ability so I can just spam them back and forth. And then if you can, I would highly recommend going into recovery just so you can increase the survivability of the build to get that health regeneration. Now for weapons, you can honestly run whatever you want to. I would highly recommend running a wave frame grenade launcher. Any will work. Obviously forbearance is just probably one of the best ones since it does have chain reaction. It is really, really good paired with your glacier grenade, and on top of that, your class ability as well, because one wave frame will actually shatter the entire thing. And between the wave frame's damage and then specifically with forbearance chain reaction alongside the shattering coming from Whisper of Fissures, you basically just have this insane amount of damage in AoE that can just insta-kill pretty much any room in the game. It is very, very strong, and I would highly recommend running a wave frame grenade launcher. Now, I do also have a disparity on simply for the fact that it does have Haka Breach armaments. With this being a aggressive pulse rifle with this perk, it can actually one-shot crystals. So if I need to swap to this weapon really fast just to shoot one crystal, you can do that. Obviously, you can also just melee the crystal. You can take pretty much anything you want to in this first column. If you want to take a disparity with headstone, that could also work as well with this build. And then finally, I have an anarchy since this is getting buffed. We don't know what the current power meta is going to be, so keep in mind this is probably going to swap out a lot for whatever is in the DPS meta, but anarchy is looking to be a pretty good contender. Now for mods, starting off with our helmet, I am going to be running a grenade launcher ammo finder due to the fact that if I'm running double grenade launcher, I might as well take advantage of that so I can get as much ammo as possible, since we're going to be using forbearance quite a lot. And because of that, I also like running a arc siphon. So when I get rapid arc weapon bomb blows, it's creating an orb of power. This is going to play really well into getting armor charges in Lightfall, and on top of that, with some of our boot mods, this will give us some extra survivability. Now I do have a pulse rifle loader equipped right here. You could swap this out for literally whatever you want to. If you want to run a different type of loader, you can, or even if you want to take something like bolstering detonation, just have two of these. This is going to grant you some class ability energy when you cause damage with a grenade. Again, since you want to spam your grenade and class ability back and forth, this will just give you some extra energy. So having two of these could also work, or again, just take whatever you want to because it doesn't really matter a whole bunch in the first column. Now always remember to take your resistant mods. Again, things like energy diffusion substrate will become an unlockable perk in Lightfall, so it's going to be good to take the standard mods to get as much resistance as possible. Now my boots, I'm running a recuperation and an innervation. Recuperation will replenish some health when I pick up an orb of power, alongside innervation giving me some grenade cooldown when I pick up an orb of power. Since we're going to be making orbs all the time, since we have arc siphon and a forbearance, and even anarchy can also create them, this just means you're getting a bunch of armor charges with the new system in Lightfall, alongside getting health and grenade energy back all the time. And then finally, I have double bomber equipped, so this will reduce the grenade cooldown whenever I use my class ability. Again, popping your class ability now is going to give you grenade energy, then hit an enemy with your grenade will give you class ability energy. You want to stand these back and forth all the time to create as many stasis shards, stasis crystals, everything as possible, so you can have protection, you can have ad clear, and just be able to destroy everything on the battlefield. So again, just as a quick rundown, you're going to have your glacier grenade alongside your class ability being able to make crystals, which is pretty much just a glacier grenade. You can shatter all of them with things like forbearance, and then applying Whisper of Fissures will also have that increased radius. Pairing that with chain reaction and soul drinker as well, it's going to give you some health back and a bunch of ad clear. You also just have the defensive capabilities with things like Whisper of Chains, again with your class ability and your grenade. You're getting stasis shards to give you some overshields. You also have a dominant lance thrown on there if you just need to instant freeze anything, which is also really, really nice. You have infinite grenades and class ability with things like Whisper of Refraction and Whisper of Shards. Pairing that with bomber and bolstering detonation, you are just going to be able to have infinite abilities that will protect you an insane amount and be able to blow everything up. But that is pretty much the build. Let me know what you all think about it. I will have a dim link to this in the description below if you all like to try it out and get your builds prepped for Lightfall. Like I said in the beginning, other subclasses are going to be better, but by no means is this a bad subclass. It is very fun to play, and I would highly recommend you all giving it a try. But if you all enjoyed and learned anything new, consider subscribing, drop a like, and turn notifications on. Also, if you'd like to join my Discord or follow me on any of my socials, all of that will be linked in the description as well. But just know watching this video is way more than enough, and that every single bit of support from you all is truly appreciated. Thank you all so much for watching this one, and have a great day. Peace.